My name is Danielle Atwood. I'm 32 years old, and 2 Sundays ago, my mother-in-law tried to destroy my marriage. She didn't scream. She didn't accuse me outright. No, she did something far worse. She slid a manila envelope across the dinner table, looked directly at my husband, and said, "I think you need to see this, Ari." Inside that envelope was a DNA test she secretly conducted on my daughter. A test she believed would prove that my child wasn't my husband's. What she expected was to expose me. What she didn't expect was that the same test would expose her. But here's the part nobody at that table knew. Not my husband, not his sister, not even his father. I had already known about that test for 2 weeks. And what I did during those 2 weeks changed everything. Before I take you back to the beginning, take a second, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? And what time is it right now? I read every single one. Now, let me take you back 7 years to the day I first met Patricia Atwood. I was 25. Mark and I had been dating for 4 months when he invited me to meet his parents. It was a Saturday in October. Cool air, fallen leaves, the kind of day that feels like something important is about to happen. He rang the doorbell, and when Patricia opened the door, she didn't smile, she didn't hug me. She extended her hand, firm grip, cold eyes, scanning, evaluating, like I wasn't a guest, like I was a file she needed to review. Dinner started normally enough. Pot roast, small talk, his dad telling stories about wiring a garage. But Patricia, she didn't talk much, she observed. And then, right when things got comfortable, she leaned in slightly and asked, "So Danielle, where did you grow up?" I told her, "A small apartment, Bridgeport. My mom was a pediatric nurse." She nodded. "And your father?" I paused. "He left when I was 6. She touched her pearl earring, a small, precise movement, something she would do thousands of times over the years. "That must have been difficult," she said, but she didn't sound sympathetic. She sounded like she was logging information. Later in the car, Mark smiled and said, "She liked you." I stared out the window. "Did she?" He laughed. I didn't, because something about her felt calculated, measured, like she wasn't getting to know me. She was categorizing me, and one thing became very clear. Even that first night, Patricia Atwood was obsessed with one thing: where things come from, people, objects, histories, origins. At the time, I didn't realize how dangerous that obsession would become. Mark and I got married the following summer. Small wedding, 40 guests, simple, peaceful. But Patricia wore cream. Not white, not ivory, cream. Close enough to make a statement. My maid of honor leaned over and whispered, "That's intentional." I ignored it, because I thought, I'm marrying Mark, not his mother. I was wrong. The first year of marriage was quiet. We rented a small house, built routines, created a life. But Patricia didn't believe in boundaries. She had a key for emergencies. But somehow, every Tuesday became an emergency. She would walk in unannounced, rearrange things, fix things that weren't broken. Once she reorganized my entire kitchen and left a note, "Towels by color. Easier this way." Mark shrugged it off. "That's just how she is." But I started noticing patterns. She wasn't helping. She was controlling. Then Lily was born. And for a brief moment, everything changed. Patricia softened. She held Lily in the hospital and smiled in a way I had never seen before. "She looks just like Mark," she said. And I believed maybe this was the turning point. maybe this was how we finally became a family. That illusion lasted 6 months, because that's when Lily's hair started changing. Dark brown to auburn to bright, unmistakable red. Beautiful, vibrant, exactly like my mother's side of the family. But Patricia didn't see beauty. She saw a discrepancy. At Lily's first birthday party, she picked up a curl and said, "Interesting." She turned to Mark. "No one in our family has red hair." I explained the genetics, recessive traits, my maternal line. She smiled. That same tight smile. Interesting. That word again. Not curious, not impressed. Suspicious. That was the beginning. Not of a fight, not of a confrontation, but of something much more dangerous. A slow, quiet campaign. Patricia didn't accuse me directly. She planted seeds, small comments. Perfect timing. Always in front of others. Such unique colouring. I wonder where she gets it. No one in our family looks like that. At first, people laughed it off. Then, they started noticing. Then, they started wondering. I started documenting everything. Dates, comments, patterns. 14 remarks in 6 months. Because something in me, the same instinct I used in my work, was telling me this wasn't random. This was strategy. And then one day, it escalated. I got a call at work. From a DNA lab, they told me someone had submitted a test under my daughter's name and listed themselves as her grandmother. That was the moment everything snapped into focus. The comments, the looks, the interesting. It wasn't curiosity. It was a case she had been building. Against me. I cancelled the test immediately. But by then, it was too late. Because Patricia wasn't just testing DNA. She was preparing something bigger, something public. And I didn't stop her. I didn't confront her. I didn't warn my husband because I realized something critical. If I stopped her, she would retreat, deny, apologize, reset, and start again later. No, if this was going to end, it had to end completely. So I waited, I watched, and I prepared. Because what Patricia didn't understand was that when she tested my daughter's DNA, she didn't just search for one answer. She opened a door she had kept locked for over 30 years. And behind that door was a truth that would destroy everything she thought she controlled. And I was the one who found it. What happened next started with a single name, a name that didn't belong in our family, a name that changed everything. And when I saw it, I realized this was no longer about defending myself. This was about exposing the truth. And I was going to let her walk straight into it. Oh, Sunday dinner was already planned. The stage was set. The audience invited. She thought she was about to destroy me in front of everyone. But she had no idea. No, she was about to destroy herself. And I made sure every single person would be there to see it. The first real clue didn't come from the lab. It came from a mistake. 3 days after that phone call, I went to Patricia's house, not to confront her, not yet. I told myself I was just picking up Lily's shoes. But the truth, I was looking. Courtney opened the door, phone in hand, half distracted. Oh, hey, Danielle, Mum's out. No, perfect. I smiled, casual. I'll just grab Lily's shoes. She waved me in. It didn't think twice. The house was quiet, too quiet. And when a house like Patricia's goes quiet, it's never empty. It's hiding something. I walked past the living room, past the hallway table, and there it was again, that same manila envelope. Only this time, it wasn't sealed. My heart didn't race. That's not how I work. It slowed down, focused, sharp, the way it does when something matters. I didn't touch it, not yet, because voices carry in that house. And right then, Courtney started talking, loud, too loud. She's doing it Sunday. Marie, I froze. 100%. Mum said she's waited long enough. Pause, then a laugh. Oh my God, yeah, it's going to be insane. I didn't move, didn't breathe. She has the results already, Courtney said. And once Mark sees them, there's no way he'll ignore it. That was it. That was confirmation. Not suspicion, not instinct, fact. Patricia wasn't guessing. She wasn't testing anymore. She believed she had proof, and she was planning to use it in front of everyone. I grabbed the shoes, walked back into the living room. Courtney hung up too fast. That guilty smile people use when they know they've said too much. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, I said, just shoes. I walked out, calm, steady, got into my car, closed the door, and then I exhaled. Sunday, public, final. She had built a stage, and she thought she controlled the ending. She was wrong. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was scared, because I was thinking, connecting, rebuilding everything I knew about Patricia through a different lens. Because if she was this confident, this prepared, this certain, then she must have seen something that convinced her. So I asked myself one question. What did she actually test? The answer led me somewhere I didn't expect. Consumer DNA platforms, not just clinical labs, the kind anyone can use, the kind that doesn't just test paternity, but scans entire databases for relatives. And suddenly, everything shifted. Because if Patricia submitted Lily's DNA there, then the system didn't just look for a father. It looked for connections, matches, family, even the ones no one talks about. I created an account that same night. Same platform, same system. I needed to understand exactly what she saw. And then, I did something most people wouldn't. I accessed her account. Not by hacking, not by breaking anything, by knowing her. Patricia used predictable patterns. Always had. Passwords tied to birthdays, anniversaries, family dates. I tried Lily's birthday. It worked. And just like that, I was inside. Her dashboard loaded, clean, organized, clinical, exactly like her. And then I saw it. A section labeled potential relatives. I clicked. At first, nothing unusual, distant matches, third cousins, names that didn't matter. And then, one name stopped everything. James M., age 36. Location, Portland, Oregon. Relationship estimate, half uncle. I stared at the screen, not confused, not yet, because my brain does something very specific in moments like that. It slows everything down, breaks it into pieces, builds logic. Half uncle, that means one thing, one undeniable thing. This man shares a parent with either Mark or me. But I hadn't submitted my DNA, only Lily's. So the connection was on Mark's side, which meant someone in that family had a child no one knew about. And suddenly, this wasn't about me anymore. This was about Patricia. I clicked the profile. James M. adopted, looking for biological family. My chest tightened, not with fear, with realization. Because numbers don't lie. DNA doesn't guess. And the timeline? It fit too perfectly. Age 36. Patricia would have been 25. Before she married Warren. Before Mark was born. Before everything she built became official. I leaned back in my chair, stared at the ceiling, And for the first time since this started, I felt something shift inside me. Not panic, not anger, control. Because now, I wasn't reacting anymore. I understood the game. Patricia wasn't just suspicious of me. She was afraid. Afraid of something buried. Something unresolved. Something she had spent decades pretending didn't exist. And when Lily's red hair appeared, it triggered something. Not doubt. Memory. Because that red hair, it wasn't foreign to her. It was familiar. Too familiar. And instead of facing that truth, she redirected it, projected it, turned it into a question about me. About my daughter. About my marriage. I looked back at the screen, at James, at the match. And I knew this was it. This was the truth she never wanted found. And she had just handed it to me. I took screenshots. Every page, every detail. Saved everything, backed it up, sent copies to myself, to my lawyer, to a secure folder. Because this wasn't just information. This was leverage. And I was going to use it, but not immediately. Because timing is everything. That if I confronted her now, she'd deny it. Shut down, spin it. No, she needed to walk into it herself. Publicly. The same way she planned for me. So I waited. Thursday, she called, voice bright, almost cheerful. Big family dinner Sunday, she said. I want everyone's here. Of course you do. Sounds good, I replied. Friday, I prepared, printed everything, organized it, built the sequence in my head. Not emotional, not reactive. Precise, like setting up dominoes. All I had to do was let the first one fall. Saturday night, I gave Lily a bath. She splashed, laughed, completely unaware of the storm waiting. Mommy, she said, why does Grandma Pat always touch my hair? I paused, smiled softly. Because it's beautiful. She grinned. Is it magic? I kissed her forehead. The most magic. But inside, I was thinking something else. Not about magic, about truth. Because the truth doesn't stay hidden forever. And tomorrow, it was coming out. In front of everyone. Sunday arrived quietly. Too quietly. The kind of quiet that feels staged. I dressed carefully. Not to impress, not to defend, but to stay in control. Soft sweater, neutral tones, nothing sharp, nothing distracting, because today, I wasn't the one performing. Lily wore a blue dress. She spun in the hallway mirror twice before I picked her up. Do I look pretty? She asked. You look perfect, I said. Mark grabbed the keys. We left at 3:30. The drive felt longer than usual. No music. Just the hum of the engine and everything unspoken sitting between us. He had no idea. Not about the test. Not about James. Not about what was waiting. And for a moment, I wondered what it would feel like to be him, walking into something that would change everything without knowing it yet. We pulled into Patricia's driveway at 4:12. 3 cars already there. That meant she had made sure of it. Full audience. She opened the door before we even knocked, smiling, too warm, too ready. Come in, she said. She hugged Mark tightly, then nodded at me. Brief, efficient. Put Lily upstairs, she added. She can rest. I carried Lily to the guest room, laid her down, her red curls spread across the pillow. Peaceful, untouched by any of this. I stood there for a second longer than necessary, just looking at her, because everything I was about to do was for her when I came back downstairs. Everyone was already in position. Warren in his chair, Dennis beside him, Courtney on the couch, Margot near the cabinet, watching, always watching. And there it was, on the table, the envelope, placed perfectly, center stage. Patricia followed my eyes, smiled. "Dinner first," she said. Of course, the meal felt normal, painfully normal. Small talk, stories, laughter that didn't quite land. But underneath, everything was tight, waiting. Courtney kept checking the time every few minutes, like she was counting down. Margot barely ate. Her hands stayed still. Too still. Warren tried to carry conversation, but even he could feel it. Something wasn't right. And Patricia, she was calm, perfectly calm. That was the most unsettling part. Because people like her only get that calm when they believe they're about to win. 20 minutes in, she stood up. And just like that, everything stopped. "Before dessert," she said, "there's something I'd like to share." Silence, immediate, complete. She walked to the hallway, picked up the envelope, returned slowly, deliberately, every step measured. She placed it in front of Mark. "I think you need to see this." The same line, the same tone. Mark frowned slightly. "What is this?" Patricia placed her hands on the table, leaning forward just enough. "It's a DNA test." The room shifted. You could feel it, like pressure dropping before a storm. "For Lily," she added. Warren sat up. "Patricia, what did you do?" She ignored him, looked straight at Mark. "I had it done privately." My heartbeat stayed steady, because this was exactly what I had been waiting for. "I did it because I care about this family," she continued. Her voice started to rise. Not emotional, convincing. "Because that child," she pointed toward the ceiling, "does not look like an Atwood." There it was, out loud, finally. Courtney leaned forward, backing her up without speaking. Patricia pressed on. "I've said it before. I'll say it again." Pause. Perfect timing. "Red hair does not run in this family." And then the final blow she had rehearsed. "I think Mark deserves to know," she said slowly, "whether that child is really his." Silence exploded. Not loud, but heavy, crushing. Mark stared at the envelope, his face unreadable. "Open it," Patricia said. He didn't move at first, just looked at it. Then, slowly, he picked it up, broke the seal, pulled out the papers. You could hear the pages, that soft sound, louder than anything else in the room. He read, and quietly. 10 seconds, 15, 20. Patricia shifted slightly, expecting, waiting. Mark looked up and said one sentence. "She's mine." Everything stopped. Patricia blinked. "What?" He held up the page. 99.9998% probability. "She's my daughter." The room didn't react immediately, because no one had expected that. Not even Patricia. That's not possible," she said, reaching forward. Mark pulled the papers back. "No." Her hand froze mid-air. "There must be a mistake," she insisted. "The hair, Stop!" Mark's voice cut through the room, sharp, final. Even Courtney flinched. For the first time, he wasn't avoiding conflict. He was standing in it. And then he looked at me. That was my moment. I leaned forward slightly, voice calm, steady. "The results are correct." Everyone turned. "I know," I continued, "because the lab called me 2 weeks ago." Silence. Again. Deeper this time. Patricia's face changed. Fast. You knew, Mark said. I nodded. They needed parental consent, I explained. Which you didn't have. Warren turned sharply. You tested her without permission. Patricia opened her mouth, but nothing came out. So I continued. Under state law, I said evenly, what you did is illegal. That word, illegal, landed hard. Courtney looked down. Dennis leaned back. Warren stared at Patricia like he didn't recognize her. But I wasn't done. Because none of that was the real truth. I looked at Mark. Keep reading, I said. He frowned slightly, flipped to the next page, then another. And then he stopped. His eyes locked on something. What is it? Warren asked. Mark didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice had changed. Confused. Careful. A potential match. He read slowly. James M. I watched Patricia. The colour drained from her face. Relationship estimate. He continued. Half uncle. The room broke. Not loudly, but internally. What does that mean? Courtney whispered. Mark looked up. At me, then at Patricia. It means, he said slowly, I have a brother. Silence. Heavy. Unavoidable. Mom? One word. But it carried everything. Patricia shook her head. This is Trish. Margot's voice, sharp, warning. And that was it. That was the moment everything collapsed. Because now, it wasn't my truth anymore. It was hers. And she had nowhere left to hide. Patricia didn't answer. She couldn't. Because the truth, once it reaches the surface, doesn't wait for permission. Mom, Mark said it again, slower this time. Who is James? Her lips parted, closed, opened again. Nothing. And then, Margot stood up. Trish. Just one word. But it carried 30 years of silence. Don't! Patricia snapped. Too fast, too sharp. That reaction alone told everyone everything. Warren pushed his chair back. The sound cut through the room like a blade. Answer him! His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Because for the first time, he wasn't asking. He was demanding. Patricia's hands started shaking. Not dramatically. Just enough. I was young, she said, barely above a whisper. No one moved. I was 25, she continued. I wasn't ready. Mark didn't blink. Oh, you had a child. Not a question. A statement. Patricia nodded. Once. Small. I gave him up. The words landed heavier than anything else that night. Not because of what they were, but because of what they meant. 36 years. Hidden. Buried. Protected. Warren stared at her, like he was seeing a stranger. You never told me. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was disbelief. We've been married for 34 years. Each word slower than the last. You never told me. Patricia's eyes filled. I was ashamed, she said. I thought it was behind me. Behind you? Mark repeated. His voice changed now. Not loud, but steady. You don't get to decide that something is behind you, he said. When it's still part of someone else's life. Silence. Deep. Because that wasn't just about James anymore. That was about everything, every lie, every omission, every moment she chose silence instead of truth. Margot stepped forward. She was scared, she said softly. Warren turned to her. Were you scared too? Margot froze. For 36 years. No answer, because there wasn't one. Patricia started crying. Real this time, not controlled, not measured. But even then, something in her hadn't changed, because the next thing she said proved it. This is Danielle's fault. The room shifted again. She brought this up to humiliate me. And just like that, whatever sympathy was left disappeared. Completely. Mark stepped forward, slowly. No. One word. You did this. He picked up the papers, held them up. You ordered the test. You planned this. You wanted an audience. Each sentence, a mirror. And now you have one. Patricia shook her head, desperate. I was protecting this family. No, I said quietly. Everyone turned. You were protecting your secret. That was it. The final piece. Because now there was nothing left to argue. Only truth, and truth doesn't negotiate. Patricia sank into her chair. For the first time in 7 years, she had no control. No narrative, no angle, just consequences. Courtney was crying, quietly. I didn't know, she said. I swear I didn't know about him. Mark didn't respond, because this wasn't about her anymore. This was about something deeper, something foundational. Warren grabbed his jacket. I need hair. He didn't look at Patricia, not once, and that hurt more than anything else. Because anger, you can fight, but absence, there's nothing to hold on to. People started leaving, slowly, quietly. The audience was gone. The stage, empty. And the performance, over. I went upstairs. Lily was still asleep, peaceful, untouched. I picked her up. She stirred slightly, wrapped her arms around my neck, and in that moment, everything became simple again. Not easy, but clear. We walked out without saying goodbye, because some endings don't need words. The drive home was silent. Mark didn't turn on the radio, didn't say anything for a long time. And then, finally, he spoke. How long? 2 weeks, I said. He nodded slowly. And the other part? 8 days. Silence again. Then, why didn't you tell me? That question mattered, so I answered honestly. Because if I told you, I said, you would have tried to fix it. He exhaled. And I needed it to end. He didn't argue, because deep down, he knew I was right. After a few minutes, he reached over, took my hand, didn't let go. The next week changed everything. Warren moved out, temporarily, but it was enough. 34 years of marriage. Paused. Courtney sent a message. Long, apologetic, for the first time, honest. Patricia, she tried to call several times. Mark didn't answer. Not out of anger, out of clarity. 3 days later, he found James, online, a teacher, a father, a man who had been looking for answers. His entire life. Mark stared at his photo for a long time. Same eyes, same jaw, proof, without needing a test. He wrote the message 3 times, deleted it, rewrote it, and finally, he sent it. My name is Mark. I think I'm your brother. James replied in under 2 hours. I've been waiting my whole life to hear that. That night, they spoke. I stayed in the other room, gave him space, but I heard it. The silence between words, the weight behind them. And then I heard Mark cry. Not quietly, fully, because something inside him had just shifted, not broken, realigned. 2 weeks later, Patricia came to our house, unannounced, of course. But this time, the door was locked. I opened it. She looked smaller, not physically, but emotionally. I need to explain, she said. Mark stepped beside me. You needed to be honest, he replied. For once, she didn't argue, didn't deflect, didn't perform. I was afraid, she said. And for a moment, just a moment, I believed her. But fear doesn't excuse harm, and it doesn't erase it. You can see Lily, I said. Her eyes lifted. Hope, but never alone. It dimmed, but not gone. Because that's what consequences look like. Not revenge, boundaries. 6 months later, things look different. Not perfect, but real. Mark met James, in person. They sat across from each other. 2 men who should have known each other their entire lives. And somehow, they still recognized each other. That's what truth does. It finds its way. Eventually. Patricia stopped dyeing her hair. The red, the same red she denied, started to come through again. Faint, but undeniable. A reminder that the truth doesn't disappear. It waits. The envelope. I kept it, not because I need it, but because it reminds me of something important. Sometimes, the thing someone uses to try to destroy you becomes the exact thing that sets you free. And the people who question your truth the loudest are often hiding the deepest ones. So, if you're watching this and you've ever been doubted, questioned, made to feel like you need to prove yourself, remember this. You don't need to perform the truth. You just need to stand in it long enough for everything else to fall apart. That's my story. If it resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment, subscribe,